Here we are, the final Katamari video I'll ever make. The original Ebe already made a video about Katamari Damacy and we love Katamari, and even though this isn't the only Katamari game left, he thought this was the best place to end it, unless they make a new game. This was also the only other Katamari game he had, but let's not pretend like that was the reason why. Anyways, how does Katamari Forever compare to the other Katamari games? Well, since I haven't played this game, I will let Ebe's dreams take over. Don't ask how you can hear them.
Katamari Forever came out only for the PS3 in 2009. You used to be able to play this game on PS4 or PS5 with PlayStation Now, but I'm not sure if it's possible with the new PlayStation Plus memberships. You may already know this, but this isn't the third or last Katamari game to exist. It's the fifth. I just decided to talk about it as the third and last Katamari game since it feels the most fitting in that position. I'm saying this from now, but if you've got a PS3 and some way to get this game, get it. This is the third video I make on a Katamari game, and as you would expect, it plays pretty much the same. So if you want a better explanation on how this series of games play, go watch one of the other two videos. You can roll in any direction, change where the character is standing, flip sides, and royal dash just like the other games. Climbing walls is also back in this game. But believe it or not, there's a new movement option, and it's jump. You can actually jump. In order to do this, you would flick your controller upwards, but you can also just press R2. That's perfect because I actually play the PS3 using a PS4 controller. And if you know, you can't really use the PS4 controller perfectly with the PS3. Anyways, in terms of movement, it's pretty much all the same. So if you know how to play one Katamari game, you know how to play all of them. This game differs from other Katamari games in terms of levels. Almost all of them are from previous games, specifically from Katamari Damacy, We Love Katamari, and Beautiful Katamari. It seems like Me and My Katamari was hard to port into this game or something, but there are only 3 new levels in this game, which is kind of a letdown. However, playing Katamari Damacy levels with the ability to get either royal presents or cousins in them is pretty cool. You have 2 sets of levels, the as big as possible levels and the gimmick levels. The as big as possible levels would typically be from the Robo King levels, while the gimmick levels would be from the original king. There are 2 kings because of story reasons. Don't worry, I'll go over it in a bit. The Robo King levels are my favorite since I'm more of a fan of the as big as possible levels, but the new levels mostly come from the Robo King. One is to fill as much of the world with flowers, another is to disassemble the Robo King, and the third one comes from the normal king, and it's to collect his dreams since they were overflowing. As I said, the king's levels are all gimmick levels, except the last 2. The second last one is kind of a gimmick level, but it's ported from Beautiful Katamari, and it's to be big enough to collect the king. Originally, this level was just an as big as possible level from that game, but to make it more fitting to the story, they made you have to beat the level by collecting the king. It's my favorite level in the game. All the original king levels will be monochrome, and whenever you collect an object, that object becomes colored. I like that, but for the most part, that's pretty much it for levels. Or is it? After you beat all the levels, you unlock Drive Mode. Remember that race level from We Love Katamari? Not only does it come back in this game, but you can pretty much play that level in every level now. That's what Drive Mode is. The only catch is the amount of time you have in that level is shorter. Then you get Eternal Mode, which is getting as big as you can. That's pretty cool, and you know I'd like that mode a lot. And the final mode you would have is Classic Katamari, which is pretty much just normal Katamari with no new features from this game. So no jumping and no hearts. Oh yeah, within these levels, there are 2 types of hearts. A broken heart would just absorb as many things nearby you. A full heart would let you be a magnet for some time. It makes some levels easier that way, and I don't really mind it. Just be mindful when you get it, because if you're big enough, the heart can disappear. The modes I just mentioned won't be in every level, so that's kind of a shame. But it does bring a whole bunch of replayability to this game. As with every Katamari game, collectibles are back. As always, cousins and presents return. They could be very well hidden or not really hidden at all. This game has the most cousins out of all Katamari games. Pretty much, all cousins return and 2 new ones are added. I guess this makes this game the most customizable friendly one, given that you have all the cousins in a bunch of presents. Overall, this game game is really fun. It's a shame that there aren't many new levels, but it's cool to see a bunch of returning ones. I would genuinely buy a Katamari game with literally all levels from every single Katamari game and a set of new ones. More than 3 if possible. And who knows, given that the game randomly came back with the rerolls, that may not be impossible. I think Katamari Forever has my favorite soundtrack compared to all Katamari games. Sure, they're mostly just remixes of already existing Katamari songs, but oh man are these remixes fantastic. It's been so long since I've given this soundtrack a good listen, but replaying this game made me realize how much I love this game's soundtrack. It made me realize that this game doesn't really exist to be a new Katamari game, but it exists to be a celebration of the Katamari series. All songs sound so new even though some of them just literally use the same vocals from old games and remix it. I just love it so much. My favorite out of all of them has to be Katamari on the Swing. If you're a fan of classic Namco games, like the arcades and stuff, this song may end up making you shed a tear. It is the biggest celebration of Namco that I've ever seen, albeit in music form. Every song in this game can either make you dance or just vibe. If you have the time, I recommend listening to this soundtrack. It's easily one of my top 10 soundtracks of all time. Now this story is an interesting one. It's not as deep as We Love Katamari, but it does feel as wacky as Katamari Damashi's. It starts off with the king casually flying to the sky. But soon, he would find out that that was the worst time to do so as a black spiky star ends up hitting him. And with that, he gets knocked out. He also gets amnesia from this. As the king is asleep, the cousins are panicking as I guess they have no one to be commanded by. You would think that they would try to find a new leader. But what they ended up doing is they made a Robo King to replace him temporarily. Whoever was in charge of programming the Robo King did a great job because just like the actual king, he destroys all the stars in the cosmos. It's the cousins' job to restore the stars, but at the same time they must recover the king's memories to wake him up. Every couple of levels or so, you will get a mini story, one about the Jumbo Men, and the other about the Queen of all Cosmos. The Jumbo Men story will come from the Robo King and it's typically about the Jumbo Men fighting with each other. The less focused part of the story is the fact that the stars were merging with each other to become the black star that hit the king at the start. So this could be thought of as a prequel story. The Queen's story comes after beating the King of all Cosmos' levels, and it's just about the Queen trying to wake up the king. I don't know if she was doing this on purpose or this just happened to happen, but she would always just drop stuff on the king and he wouldn't wake up from it. There was a last part in the game where the king did wake up but his memories were overflowing, which ends up being the last level of the game. Before that, there was a part after the king woke up and the Robo King got jealous of him. That's what ended up making you disassemble him. As I said, a very interesting story. After you beat a level, you have the option to change the art style of the level. The levels would have a distinct art style for some reason, which makes the game interesting looking. I guess it does give the game a fresher look that way. There are a lot of miscellaneous features in this game like a jukebox and stuff, but that would just make this video longer if I focused on all that. You can play some mini games you unlock after beating the game. They're mostly just fun time wasters. There's a multiplayer, but there's no online, which was a feature in beautiful Katamari. It's a shame to not see an online honestly, because that would feel very competitive if anything. I would highly recommend Katamari Forever if you have some way to play it. But here's the thing, compared to beautiful Katamari, there are some charms from that game that are missing in this one. Beautiful Katamari is more of a good game if you want a new Katamari experience with some charming touches. That game had a cooler hub world, and the king just looks a lot more expensive and stuff. So get beautiful Katamari for a charming time. It's also pretty easy to get this game since you can get it on a modern Xbox if you have one. However, since Katamari Forever is more of a celebration of Katamari, there is no doubt you will have a fun time in this game. The amount of gimmick levels and as big as possible levels make the game not very repetitive, and the amount of replayability is amazing. However, the only thing that makes this game less appealing is how exclusive it is to the PS3. So unless you have a PS3, it will be pretty tough to play this game.
And that was Katamari Forever. This would have truly felt like the last Katamari game if Touch My Katamari never existed, but Eeb tends to forget about that game. If you have a PS3 and can get this game, he highly recommends trying it out. It's a lot of fun and he hopes that they remake this game since they are remaking many Katamari games nowadays. What do you think about this game if you have ever played it? Leave a comment down below. Anyways, I gotta get out of here because Eeb is about to wake up any moment now. That was a good nap. Well, time to make a video. Here we are, the final Katamari video I'll ever make. Hey, why did the video end?